Hello, friends, and welcome to Binge O'Clock, the podcast where we watch something and then we talk about it. I'm Joy Selden, and I've seen almost everything.
I'm Danielle, and I've seen almost nothing.
I'm Nella, and in honor of getting to the end of season 4, I'm drinking Sauvignon Blanc with ice in it. Because that is about what this ending deserves.
You're not wrong.
I am drinking a caffeinated beverage at a time in the day that I should not be drinking a caffeinated beverage.
Ooh, danger. I've been there.
I just wanted like a little bit of a buzz.
Yeah.
Tiniest bit. That, I think these 3 episodes deserve trying to kick it up a notch. I feel like. So yes, today, friends, we are talking about the last 3 episodes of season 4 in Fringe. Episodes 20 to 22. There were so much. It was jam-packed with stuff, and it was all serious stuff. Nobody cracked a joke in the whole plate. No, that's not true. Walter cracked 2 jokes.
I know. I was like, they tried.
All 3 episodes.
They tried a little here and there, but,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
What do we do? Do we take this one at a time?
I think we have to.
They just streamline into each other. And friends, all I need to say is, like, I watched these 3 episodes, and all I felt was tired. I just felt tired. Anyway.
It's true. I came home and she was just like, God, I'm tired. I'm just tired. I was like, I feel like I heard you screaming from Manhattan. She's like, no, I was just tired.
Screaming requires energy, and I didn't have enough energy for screaming about this show. What I did do is I kept thinking about, wow, I could be spending this time to start rewatching Our Flag Means Death and just enjoy my beautiful, beautiful gay pirate sons or something. But no, instead we're here.
That's a great show. That's a show we should watch. Maybe
it really gets me. It really gets me.
When it finally finishes its run.
Oh.
But yeah, I think I can probably sum up everything. Well, the big overarching things that happen in this episode, in this series of episodes. I think really the crux of it is, David Robert Jones gets his because guess what? He's not the big bad. William Bell is. Mm-hmm. And David Robert Jones is just a disciple of Bell. And William Bell tries to play God and create a literal world and fails because Walter shoots Olivia. The end. No, so it's just, there's so much that happens. So episode 20, like, let's just talk about some of the, like, I enjoyed kind of the cooler tech, like horrifying, but also really super neat. Like the idea that you could harness like the power of the sun into this like pinpoint that could, destroy Boston, I guess, because all of the oil underneath Boston or something.
Because of the oil underneath Boston.
I literally went to go look up if there was any oil.
Tell me there's not oil under Boston.
There isn't.
Okay, I was pretty sure that was 100% made up.
Look, I even checked because, like, I was like, look, I am, like, 99.9% sure there are no oil, like, there's no, like, deep well of oil that if, like, we cracked it open with, like, a death ray, it would destroy all of Boston, and I was correct. And then I just double-checked because, I'm like, well, do they have fracking in Massachusetts? And they don't even have as much fracking as we have in New York. They don't have the right kind of shale. So, I found the report from 2015. I even copied and pasted it, and it said as of 2015, Massachusetts did not have enough proven crude oil or natural gas reserves, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. As such, the state did not have rules and regulations governing oil and gas production.
Well, good news, Boston. If ever anyone harnesses the power of the sun and creates a giant beam of light in the middle of your city, you're not all in danger.
I mean, I think
you won't all have to be evacuated. Just some of you. 1 mile radius.
If we want to do a disinformation campaign so they target you instead of, like, I don't know, La Brea, like, okay, let's do that. But, like,
right?
What?
Now,
what?
I did though enjoy the way this episode kind of played out. Because basically what's going on in this episode is that it opens with Walter gathering the team together, and he thinks that he's figured out David Robert Jones's plan. And he's got these great hand-drawn slides that he uses to demonstrate.
He does. It's just hand drawings of the Earth, of two Earths slowly coming together and then exploding.
It really made me. It really made me want to go find my dad's old projector. Not gonna lie, because we still have it. We still have the Kodak projector.
Oh, it was perfect. He's so buttoned up and nervous. He's got his tie on, you know. It's a
even
big
Peter's
moment.
like, you didn't have to wear a tie, and he's like, but I felt like I had to. He has to show up for the other Walter, for Walternate. He has to, he has to prove himself.
He has to look like he has his stuff together. I got so many like Giles vibes of him drawing stick figures of the
with the heart heart-stealing monster. Oh,
the heart-stealing monster with the surprising amount of gore on those slides for like stick figures and the weird creepy like Hushmen,
See, these are the moments where, as much as I can get frustrated with Fringe, I will keep on watching it, because sometimes Walter walks into the room with a tie and a projector, and you're like, well, I have to keep watching.
Yes. No, the show does have the one good thing about it, which is that, as awful as sometimes it can get, it gives us these golden moments that make for really good fic.
Really good fic.
We take it and we run with it.
So then, basically, heavy quotes on David Robert Jones, because we all know it's not actually David Robert Jones, but David Robert Jones basically sends Olivia and the rest of the team on a, what's the word I'm looking for? A something hunt?
Wild goose chase.
Yes.
Fetch quest.
Exactly. A wild goose chase, fetch, quest, something, all around the city. And it turns out that there's a goal behind each of these little mysteries. But kind of my favorite thing about the entire episode is that Olivia and the core team are running around trying to just put out all of these fires that DRJ is causing. And Walter is standing there going like, wait, but David Robert Jones isn't smart enough to do any of this. Like, I don't understand how he's harnessing the power of the sun. I don't understand how he's creating these nanobites. I don't understand. He's not smart enough to do any of this.
Literally any of it. Not any of it at all. And it just really broke my heart when we saw, like, the grown-up kids from the Cortex fan trials again. Like, we get to see Nick Lane and, like, and they're just full-on zealots,
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit off air, but man, do I miss the William Bell who was just, like, slightly too big for his britches and, like, conniving and scheming and, ultimately sacrificed himself for the greater good because he was like, yeah, I've screwed up a little bit, but I can help you with this. And not this dude who thinks he's literal God.
Yes, exactly. And there isn't really a greater good here that he's working towards. He really is just fully taking advantage of these traumatized children for his own personal gain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not really the William Bell we knew.
It's completely different. And, like, because we only have him show up for 2 episodes and briefly at that, and we never get the explanation as to what could have so radically changed William Bell. Aside from that, the writers thought it would be a good way to shoehorn Leonard Nimoy back into the show, which is really tragic, actually. Like, this is not the note I want Leonard Nimoy to go out on in this show. They set up the character really well. They set him up that you kind of really hated him, but there was something freaking lovable and like a grandfather about him, and you knew like that there was this monstrous quality to him. But in the final moment where it mattered, he placed the worlds themselves as more important than he was.
Yeah.
Even though this William Bell in the end is like, oh yeah, I'm just going to die out. But like, he was going to play God in the Garden of Eden. It was
and
just
kill 2 worlds of people in order to do so.
To it.
And the writers tried to convince us that this pivotal change in his character took place because he got cancer.
Right? Which
That doesn't
I'm
make
like
sense.
personally offended for every friend of mine who's ever gotten cancer and survived, where I'm just like,
Hold on.
how dare you? One. How dare you go, yes, and cancer what makes you want to throw the whole damn planet out, actually. What?
Yeah. Doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Baffling. Truly baffling.
And on top of which, he goes from he has lymphoma, right? And he manages to use the cortexiphan to slow his cancer down. So actually, he's found a way to use his wild science to prolong his life.
And like,
And then somehow he gets from there to now I'm going to play God.
I know.
It doesn't make sense.
You could have turned around and tried to implement that into cancer treatment.
Yes.
You know? Like,
yes,
but no,
actually.
Instead he went, well, like Walter said, with this much tragedy, there must be no God. And you know what? For my friend, I'm going to become God. Because if there is no God, I can fill that hole in space and time.
Right. Or if I can do it, then I should do it. Right? That's his line.
Whereas
it was something
William
like,
Bell,
if I'm capable of becoming God, then it's my destiny to do so. And
then the show has the cojones to come back with this William Bell still gives us you posited this thing and it was so dangerous, we removed parts of your brain. But lol, I went ahead and did it anyway. Like, what? What?
Come on over to the window and check this out, even if you're only being a scientist about it. Like,
punch him in the face. Like,
so there is like a Star Trek Into Darkness, which Nella refuses to watch, which I think we've talked about on the show.
It doesn't
exist. But for 5 seconds, I'm going to posit that I don't know, for some reason the writing is so sloppy that it keeps reminding me of Star Trek Into Darkness.
I believe that.
Because like it comes completely out of left field and no one is playing to their character. And like, sure, I do believe that like characters will change and mold because of like when we first meet Walter in season 4, he's a different Walter. Because he didn't never raised his son in the first place, but his son didn't survive.
But we have the time to sit with that. Yeah, right? Yeah. But on the whole, up to this moment, the show has generally allowed us to sit with those changes with the characters we have grown to love.
Exactly.
Or come to appreciate, depending on how you feel about certain characters. Like Captain Lee.
I wish everyone could have seen Danielle's face for that. That was very funny. That was very funny. But there is a moment in this finale that felt like they were okay. So there is a thing, and I guess spoilers for Star Trek Into Darkness. But if you're listening to this podcast and have watched Fringe before, I have to assume you've seen it for the most part. Anyway. There's literally an entire plot line about how they basically solve regeneration and can bring people back from the dead, and then they just drop it completely. That's what this sounds like. It's like he decided to create this new life in these monsters, and then do what? Throw them onto a what? Into the middle of the ocean?
Really good
question. A hologram? Into a...
And then what? I think is a really good way, a really good way to sum up our mutual feelings about the way season 4 ends. Like, what do you mean?
I get to jump in? Is this where I get to jump in about how stupid this plan is?
Yes.
Okay, so he's created an ark on a shipping container
of monsters.
Full of monsters, okay? Like, full of them, right? Okay. Now, the whole plan being when the two worlds collide, it will pretty much create a black hole. It will go supernova. It will create a new Big Bang, creating a new universe. But because he's in this sweet spot of safety, like, somehow he will survive on a new Earth, and the creatures will just be able to frolic through sunlit grass meadows with beautiful snow-capped mountains in the distance, according to the artist's rendition in the hologram. And I call shenanigans, because If there is one thing I have had to suffer through in the oodles of apocalyptic fiction I have read for my other podcast, it's that nobody, and I mean nobody, thinks about the complexity of biological life and what you actually need to support life of a greater, giant quotation marks, like apex animal. Like he has all these porcupine flying beasts, and he has these like big worms, and he has like weird kraken fish, like that. But the problem is like I bet you, I put money down on it that William Bell didn't consult one botanist, one biologist, or one chemist in all of this. And nowhere in any way, shape, or form is he thinking about the importance of fungi in soil. Or even if when this new world is formed, like, do you know how long it takes for topsoil to form? Like, is he just imagining that the world will just reform with all the plants and fungi that he needs? Just there won't be any humans or buildings. There'll be potable water. There'll be the sun as we know it. Like, hear me out, Belle. I think you missed a couple of steps. You went from 1, create monsters. I want a storage jar. 2, like, put them in an ark and destroy both universes. 3, question mark, question mark, question mark. 4, profit.
Except no profit.
Except no profit, because all the humans, apparently, I guess, are dead.
And
like,
him, soon.
So, right? And I don't... Okay, so here's the other thing that drives me absolutely bonkers about this. Like, okay, let's assume for a second he's thinking that this Big Bang will, like, somehow suck everything into it and then spew out new life from the two universes which have, like, beefed it.
Then why do you have to put life into it if it's going to create new life regardless?
Also this, but also I'm sitting here like, do you think the planet's just gonna be there? Is it just gonna be one planet after this is done? Because even then... you are still destroying both planets. Those earthquakes that you have cooking up all over the planet are still destroying it. So, like, where does this go? Anyway, the takeaway, listeners, is they really didn't think 5 seconds in front of their face, which is basically season 4 in a nutshell.
But the thing is, he's never, like, look, maybe in their back of their brains are like, and because he's, like, gone nutso, like, he thinks this is viable when obviously it's not. But not because, like, it's gonna fail, but because, like, they're sitting there, like, because he's a eugenicist that wants to kill every human because he thinks humans are, like, a cancer on the world and on the beautiful creation that could otherwise exist without them, which is loaded as hell, and we are just going to play with it for, like, an episode and a half?
Yeah.
Like, and I know Jones was sort of, like, talking about it beforehand, but the fact that it comes from William Bell is, like, that's a hot potato to drop.
Yeah.
Like,
the hottest of takes.
In the 11th hour.
Even if that's true... it doesn't explain why he would create monsters and not just collect every animal in the world and actually Noah's Ark this situation.
If humans are so bad, why are you trying to, like, super evolve humans?
Right?
Like,
exactly.
They're still human in us. Mm-hmm. Like, is that not the problem? It sounds like you think that's the being human is the problem.
Right, but he put humans in the porcupine people. He was making new shapeshifters.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. If humans are the problem, then he should have actually done a Noah's Ark situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's also the unreliable narrator of him not really knowing what he's doing and everything. But, like, he even kind of alludes to it in the episode, right? Like, everything that happens is his divine will and he will just accept it. Right. You know, like... and it's gross. It's gross. This is not the William Bell I wanted. This is not the way I wanted Leonard Nimoy to go out on the show. Yeah. I honestly can't remember if we actually... I mean, technically we see him again because he's in Amber. But, like, I can't remember if he comes back on the show or not. So if I don't remember, like, listeners, that's just
I think
me.
I checked, and I think this is it for him, which is, like, again, a gross note for this character to go out on.
Yeah.
It's just...
it's just really sad.
We have spent a lot of time in the show exploring the differences between people based on what universe they're in, how they're raised, you name it. Like we've done that. We've seen it before. And for some characters it works better than others. You've even made me like faux Olivia after all said and done. You rotten bastards. But like this
only if you erase history and put something else in its place.
Like her?
We like faux Olivia. Oh, look, she didn't seduce Peter because Peter literally wasn't there to seduce.
Ding ding.
Great,
That's
I like
the
her
Olivia
now.
we're here for.
That's the only one I like.
The one
You
without
did
a
it.
agenda.
Yeah. No, I feel like, but she still had a agenda. It was just like towards Walter. She came in with her agenda. She seduced him with being nice.
Right.
And personable.
And pally.
I mean, listen, I know that we keep on hating on the writers of this show, and I feel a little bit bad about it because I do actually still really like this show. But taking like 5 giant steps back, the reason they had William Bell create monsters is that it makes for good TV, right? This is a Monster of the Week show. There must simply be monsters.
Does it make for good TV, Danielle? Does
I
it?
don't know. Like we got to spend an episode like chasing a porcupine person.
Does William Bell making the monsters make for good TV?
But so they had to come up with like a reason for the monsters to exist. And I guess this is the reason they thought was the one that tied the most elements of the show together. Question mark? I mean, I'm not a TV writer.
And we kind of discussed this beforehand too, of like, I do think that this could have been an ending of the series. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily a great ending, but it would have been an ending that just wrapped everything up. Peter and Olivia go off and have their kid, like if it feels like all the things that cause the problems are finally settled. Like, but that being said, yeah, and I know we often give swear jar for the writers and for how the show is run, but I think why is because when you have such otherwise really good character moments in a show that are really solid, like the humanity is there, you can really feel for these characters, even the ones you don't like. When they step poorly, you really feel it. And it feels like...
Would you have been more accepting of the ending if it was exactly the same, except that it was actually David Robert Jones?
Yeah, because this whole time you have been setting David Robert Jones up as this entirely absolute zealot. You could even have had it that because of his connection to Massive Dynamic, he ran off with some technology that Bell did come up with. Mm-hmm. And it still would have been more palpable than William Bell having been like the Xanatos in the background the whole time, using David Robert Jones as a pawn, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, a bishop, really.
Oh, well,
a bishop.
Technically. I'm so tired of chess. I'm so sick of chess.
There are other games. There's so many other games.
It's the most overused power move analogy.
One of these days, I'm going to write a scene where we play where the bad guy plays Betrayal on the House on the Hill.
Yes.
I want you to sit down and let's play a game I like to call Apples to Apples. It's a game
and
of
we'll
chance.
see who really knows each
and
other.
And of cleverness. Yes, let's see who truly knows each other.
Let's see who truly knows me, the villain of the show.
The game is Munchkin. The rules, it'll take us hours to explain them. But here's the crux of the game. If no one knows you're cheating, it doesn't matter. That's a great power move analogy.
I mean, that was the William Bell we had. The William Bell we had played Munchkin 100%. I believe 100%.
No,
all of the rules exist, and if everyone knew all of the rules, then everyone could win. But no one knows all the rules except for William Bell, and so William Bell wins. Munchkin makes sense.
What we need is that villain at the party who's just like, no, this is a great game. I mean, like, look, it'll be really easy to explain it. And, like, if you just, like, if everyone just sits down with, no, why are you going? Like, no, I'm telling you, it's super easy to learn this game. And it's really fun. It'll only take, like, 4 hours. Like, I think, let's just play it. We'll just take over the bedroom. We'll set it all up in the bed. Like, and that's the villain. It's the villain trying to play the really intense board game at the party that no one else wants to play the board game. But you feel sucked into playing the board game because, like, I don't know, maybe if I don't play the board game, this will cause trouble down the line. I don't know. He's like really intense about it. Like, I guess I'm playing the board game. Another good power move game. I don't know, the Hitler game.
I don't know that one.
Oh, that's maybe the one where you have to find the secret Hitler. Yeah, where you have to find the secret Hitler.
I feel like the power move game for like the narcissist villains is Mal.
Oh, yes. Mao. Mao is a very frustrating game.
Yeah.
They just want everyone upset at them, but they also don't want, like, they want it, they're upset at the game, but they're not mad at me.
I feel that,
don't hate the player, hate the game, honey.
Not this William Bell, but, like, the William Bell I actually am okay with. That William Bell and his Nina would clear the board for Secret Agent. Like, they would absolutely destroy everyone with their secrets and lies. Like,
secrets and lies.
100%.
Code names. They'd be real good at code names, too.
No, I'm sorry. That was the game I was thinking of. Code names. Like,
code names.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She'd be like, you know that time he? And be like, yep, I got you.
Yeah.
Precisely. You remember last summer when? Yep, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone would be like, what? How do you even...
William Bell is he just says a number. He's like, 242. She's like, oh, yes, I got you.
William Bell makes it challenging for himself, and he only gives one-word answers.
And Nina's the only one who... But then Nina's sitting there annoyed because he made it so challenging, and she's just like... I know. You're only making this hard for yourself.
Like, your clues don't all have to be palindromes. You can just give me clues.
What if you just gave me clues, Billy? What if you just did that? No, but to get back to your scenario, because I like the idea. So here's why I don't think it would work given the character setup that we've had. Okay. But I love the idea. Had it been like David Robert Jones, I would have been much less frustrated with it. Because, again, he is a zealot, and he is somebody who, like, takes an idea and he runs with it.
Mm-hmm.
But they have established that David Robert Jones always needs a Bible or a prophet or a somebody to follow. He is not the leader. He is, the most, like, dedicated disciple.
Mm.
And that's the only issue I have with the scenario. Because, like, he would never do that on his own. And, like, I like in this scenario that, because in the previous scenario, William Bell was like, you're too much and you need to not. Like, William Bell shuns him in the original timeline. And in this timeline, has taken him kind of, like, under his wing and is just like, but you're also expendable too.
I see what you're putting down. I also posit that because of his connection to Massive Dynamic, he still could have done that with pre-brain removal Walter and held on to the things that Walter was talking about and ran with them, knowing that Walter was mutilated and knowing that his prophet, his guiding light, was no more, but he could carry on the torch of it. We could have played with that a little bit.
Kind of like a kind of a ZFT type scenario, right? Like he finds previous Walter's notes, and previous Walter's notes or journals are his little Bible. I think that would make sense.
Yeah, and it would have to be notes, because if the timeline is to be believed as it is, it's he technically never met Walter.
Yeah.
Until
we could still do notes. Like
yeah.
And I think that part of the reason they wanted William Bell to come back in is because they wanted the final moments of the show to be just one last showdown, right? Between Walter and William Bell, and like one last come to Jesus moment for Walter, right?
Yeah, even
but
though
we still could have had that in this David Robert Jones's kind of situation, because it would still be Walter's past coming back to haunt him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But again, I think we're back to that problem of season 4, while it did have some really fun moments, ends up just feeling like a giant rehash. You know, it's just a giant rehash of Walter's sins coming back to haunt him, David Robert Jones showing up and being a dick. Like, it's all the just the same nonsense. Like, and while there were enough twists to at least keep me engaged, by the ending, I was just tired.
Yeah, it is. It's exhausting to see, you know, a TV show's greatest hits where I understand why some of them are there, because you need to have a reason for Peter to still exist and to stay. You need to have a reason for Olivia to start to, you know, like adjust her memories to match Peter's Olivia, right? Like you need all these reasons for these things to change that way. I don't know that you needed to have it in the finale.
Yeah.
Right. What's an example of something we did need?
So something we did need is the first Porcupine Man, where it's like, well, you guys, he was on this plane before, but he didn't, he changed on the plane. He changed in the airport? Wait, he has a friend who's working with him. You know,
I
like,
think that's a pretty interesting, clever,
right?
continuation of an old thread.
Mm-hmm.
Like those pieces make sense when you rehash them, because it's like, well, they have information that you don't, right? Like Walternate talking about the shapeshifters and wanting to learn more about them, and Peter being like, well, I actually studied them and I kind of went on a murder rampage just a little bit, but like, I'm the one who knows a lot about them, so if you want any help, like, I'm here to help you.
And narratively,
you know?
that pulls Lincoln in as well, because Lincoln's partner was killed by shapeshifters, so it makes sense to bring them back. How do we feel about Nick Lane being brought back?
I hate it.
I hate it.
Take or leave on that. Yeah.
And honestly, that was one of the moments where I felt the most exhausted, because not only have you now made him a zealot, but now we're going to play once again the convince the dude that he's helping to actually destroy the world and he's on the wrong side game. And like watching it, I was like, you're not going to convince him, Liv. You're not going to convince him.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just, it felt so disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
Truly awfully disheartening. And then, you know, it just, to me, I know this is an alternate universe where, because Peter was never there, you know, these people didn't die because they didn't help Liv get over to the other side because she wasn't chasing Peter.
Yeah.
You know, to know what we had with them and then to see them still become radicalized is just like, ugh.
And it's funny because the show actually acknowledges that. Like, they say it. During one of Peter and Olivia's heart-to-hearts, when Peter's like, it's gonna be okay, and Olivia's like, is it though? Because I was this little kid who was taken advantage of. William Bell and Walter experimented on me as a child, and she's like, and nothing has changed. They're still doing it.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
still experimenting on me.
Yep, there it is, writers. There it is, show.
Yeah.
You knew what you were doing. Here are these kids again, still being experimented on.
I feel like they did so much better in this season with explaining the alternate universes to people. Like in the very first episode, we get that, like, the serial killer and the professor.
Yeah.
And like, you know, maybe they didn't do an amazing job with like trying to convince one that the other and blah, blah, blah. But like, that was, you know, because the show needs plot. But like, you know, they were able to, you know, bring one of them over to the other side, and they were able to show them certain things, and they were able to explain it to them. And he obviously figured it out, but he was able to help them in a way. And I'm like, you have Nick Lane. You have both Nick Lanes on your side. You have both of them right there.
Yep.
You couldn't have like, hey, this is the dude you're fighting against.
Yeah.
He literally is like I don't even remember. Did he say he's like a banker or something?
No,
like
he's just like a normal
he's boring
dude.
as hell. Like, he's not here to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it was very frustrating to me because I was like, you literally brought back these characters for no reason, like just to serve as like a way to bring you guys back to William Bell and whatever he may or may not be planning. And it was really frustrating.
Yeah.
Especially with all the growth we had with those characters. And like to just see it completely go. Like, look, at least we didn't have what's his name with the healing energy.
Oh,
at least he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Cancer Man. I don't remember his
Cancer
name.
Man.
Oh, and then when they made Nick hurt Tim in the car, like, come now.
I know.
No, yeah.
That was so unnecessary.
Not my Tim.
No, and like, look, at least Tim lived. But I was really ready to throw hands when I was just like, don't you dare hurt this agent of color. How dare you? How dare you come for Tim? He is, how dare you?
He has a good boyo, and he is just doing his best.
Just infuriating.
Why would they leave him alone in the car with Nick? That is just the most, no one in this show thinks.
I know.
Kind of like when Peter and Olivia are both going to stop the sunbeam satellites and they separate and go to separate satellites by themselves. I'm like, come on, y'all.
Talk briefly about the Olivia's powers and her being able to control Peter's fighting.
Yes, on the rooftop. Mm-hmm.
And now we've gone full Sense8 with this nonsense.
Yeah, so initially she was able to transfer energy from somebody who was about to literally explode to herself to keep this person safe.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she is like confronted on a rooftop by two like rent-a-cops who are basically just like, drop your gun, but they don't like take her anywhere. They're just kind of like, we want you to drop your gun. And she's like, all right, fine, I'll drop my gun. And like Peter's fighting David Robert Jones on the other side and he's losing. And Olivia is just like, nope, I'm going to take care of it myself. And like takes over his body and fights him for him. And it was so weird.
It was so weird because, well, again, what they've done is they've caught Olivia in a moment of panic, right? Because whenever someone Olivia loves is in danger, then her power activates.
Yeah.
Oh, this woman can't handle her emotions. Okay. But when she drops her gun, the guards drop their guns too. And that's when she realizes...
Oh, that's right. I missed that. Sorry.
That's when she realizes, I can control people. And then she saves Peter from David Robert Jones, who attacked him from behind. Because, see, Peter in danger, Olivia activates.
I enjoy how much Peter tried to be very understanding about it afterwards with, we're gonna talk about it?
We're going to talk about this, right? We're going to talk about it?
A part of me just feels like I'm going to write the fic where Peter's like, I don't know, I was kind of into it. I mean, I was also fighting for my life, but in less death-defying circumstances, it could have been kind of hot.
I feel like I've read this fic. I feel like I've read this fic. There are tons of fics out there in the sci-fi fantasy genre where it's just like you take over someone's body and I don't know, maybe fun times happen.
Not that we get to explore it, though, because, okay, now we really have to tackle the real beast in the room, which is what happens to Olivia.
What happens to Olivia?
And why all of the cortexiphan gets drained from her body, I guess.
So it turns out that William Bell needs a battery to power his Big Bang. And the reason he's been activating Olivia for all of this time is that she is the battery.
Again, like the goalposts keep getting, I just need to get back to this, like the goalposts keep getting moved. You know, David Robert Jones is using cortexiphan people to collide the two worlds. Great. We'll just shut down the bridge. We have our moment of like, we're making this big sacrifice. We've been trying to heal your world. Maybe we'll find a way back. Maybe we won't. But like, so we both survive. We have to cut off contact. And Lee goes off to join the other side. And like everyone has that final moment. And like in any other season, it would have been really touching. But I'm up to season 4 and like nothing, like everything's made up and the points never matter. So I'm just like, yeah, I guess now we won't ever see the other side again.
It hits so different because the end of season 3 is like the most heartbreaking thing because Peter's about to go into this machine and may or may not like kill one of them.
Yeah.
We don't know. Like it might kill him. We don't know. Like, and then this just kind of happens with a whimper and it's such a whiplash
And I
moment.
think it's because deep down inside we knew that like closing the bridge wouldn't actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it was episode 20 and not 21 or 22.
Yeah. Right.
I think deep down watching it, you know, like, and there's gonna be another way that they're gonna destroy the world. So now you're cut off from your buddies. Like, so they do the thing, and that one way to do it is now cut off. So now it's all on Olivia and activating her as a battery. How he activates her as a battery, damned if I know, but here we are.
Yeah, it's something like the cortexiphan in her body is making her extremely telekinetic, and like, what wasn't there like a Gauss meter reading?
Yeah, she's
too?
giving off a whole bunch of electromagnetic radiation. Science. Heavy quotes on all three of those words.
Yeah.
And you know, they have a whole moment where, you know, where the woman she saves is actually working for William Bell and traps September, like key into her emotions that way.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
know,
just
that
like-
was actually never explained.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, actually, that was just never explained. David Robert Jones, or William Bell, doesn't matter, uses Jessica who uses Olivia to trap September. For what reason? Unclear. Well, actually, I guess the reason is William Bell makes this super special gun that can actually kill observers, and then Jessica attempts to shoot September in the chest with this gun, and Olivia, by saving September's life, is further activated. Like, they went through so many hoops to make that happen.
There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through making. I'm just baffled, truly baffled about, like, why did we even need this character? Why did we need to play this game with the gun? And like, and now she's even more powerful. But like, how did you know? How did you know, William Bell, that she would give enough of a crap about September, like freak out and save his life? Like, why not target Peter again? Peter is the most obvious trigger for Olivia. Like,
Right? Or, you know, Walter, Astrid,
anyone else.
anyone. So many people in her life. I mean, thank goodness they didn't bring her sister and her niece back into it. That would have
I
been
know.
truly upsetting.
Or her nephew, which we've never
Or her
even met.
nephew.
And she hasn't either.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
but
As a
see, we
nephew.
keep on dancing. we keep on dancing around this because we don't want to talk about it. But
So, all right, so it's here's I think where it starts to get me, because in the scene then when she saves September, she then has the moment with September where she sees that he's bleeding from his chest, and she says, "Well, now this must explain like how you got hurt and why you came to me to tell me in all universes I have to die." And September doesn't know anything about what she's talking about. But he's bleeding from the chest, like we saw him, and like she had to help save his life, kind of like that callback. So now back into play is the idea in Olivia's mind and in everyone's mind that the only way for everyone to survive is Olivia has to die. But instead of Olivia having any agency in that death, or possible death, or medical death, or chemical death, or, you know, like medically induced coma, Juliet death, whatever other way we could come around to like tricking this, you know, like we all are clever people in this universe. And like, if Olivia's like, well, obviously I have to die, so I'm just going to go out back and get it done. Or everyone's talking about like, well, how can you kill someone without killing them? You know, no one even has that conversation. Instead, we get to the climactic scene where you have, and I almost want to touch on like how they even do it, because again, Peter and Olivia are so intertwined. They are inseparable. They are a perfect couple. You know, he can see the ship because he's humming on the same frequency, which has already been swallowed up by his original universe. She can't see the ship, but she can help them cross over without the bridge. So she has to take the blind leap of faith jump off the helicopter onto the ship. They land on the ship. Everything's, look at them. Look at this, our perfect, beautiful couple.
I mean, I liked that moment.
No, that was a great moment. Perfect moment. This whole time, Walter is with William Bell, who is absolutely diabolically like delusional.
Yeah.
And you know, he is looking at a gun and some bullets, and he is starting to put the bullets in the gun. And you know, what the show is doing, like they do, is trying to lead you in the direction of, well, obviously he's gonna shoot William Bell. is he though? You're watching it and you're like, is he though? And then, of course, Peter and Olivia show up, and instead of shooting William Bell, Walter shoots Olivia in the head. Center shot, forehead shot. She goes down. Instantly, the universes separate. The ship is back in our universe. And William Bell off by ringing the bell.
Yep.
Somehow.
He just
magically
phases out of the universe.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Cool show.
And then Peter is distraught. He's sobbing, he's crying, he's holding Olivia in his arms. He's like, Walter, what have you done? And then Walter insists, and oh, Nella, the writers were so clever. They actually foreshadowed this moment for you with that little lemon cake.
That lemon cake. I hate that lemon cake.
But Walter just like slaps Peter in the face, shuts it down, says this is no time for emotions. Instead, he insists that as long as he can push the bullet out of Olivia's head, then her body will heal because cortexiphan is regenerative. And so it's fine that he shot her in the head.
Yeah.
Because he knew that she wouldn't actually die.
I mean, maybe he was hopeful that she wouldn't actually die. Like, as he is removing the bullet from her head, he is shaken. He is obviously like,
yeah,
he is running on just pure faith at this point, and he is living in that brief moment with the fact that he might just have actually killed Olivia. I do believe that from the character's perspective.
Yes, and like a little lemon cake with a slice in it coming back together is very different from a person's entire brain with a hole through the middle of it coming back together. You know, like later on when you see Peter and Olivia reuniting in the hospital room because it worked. And, you know, Peter's giving her this hug and he's talking to her about this house that he finally found for them. And she has that moment of hesitation. Part of me was like, the first time I saw the show was like, oh no. Her brain physically came together, but she's lost her memories of him.
Oh no.
Again.
Oh no.
Are we
I assumed something differently.
Again?
Oh, you see, because at the beginning of the episode, at the beginning of the episode before this, of the two-parter, they're looking for apartments, and she makes this big deal about, well, a nursery. And she doesn't say it then, but I'm like, girl, you pregnant. And I really thought Olivia in that moment would be like, I was pregnant and I've lost the baby.
Oh.
I really thought that's what they were going for. Not that she didn't remember him. I really thought we were going for
the only reason I thought
baby.
that is because Walter shot her in the head.
No, I know, but like again, I do not trust people with how they deal with what causes like miscarriage. But I also feel like the stress of like healing your body after being shot in the head.
I mean, she also jumped out
some really vital things in your body.
She jumped out of a helicopter onto a cargo ship.
There are things that happen to Olivia where I'm just like, and then she miscarried, but she doesn't. Right. She is actually pregnant, and that's what she tells him. What I hate about this is we know that Olivia...
I'm sorry, listeners. It was hate was in like font 24, like Times New Roman, all caps, and I had to laugh about it. I'm so sorry, Nella. Continue.
What I hate about it is we know this character is living with the fact that she is probably, for the safety of two universes, needs to die. But we never get her struggling with that in these two episodes. She's, and this is a character who would struggle with it. And a character whom I firmly believe would make the call herself to take her own life to save two universes. And instead
she's essentially done that already.
And she's already done that. But again, like we're rehashing everything. Like, I don't know. It's just so distressing to have Olivia's choice about whether she lives or dies taken out of her hands on the whim that because of the cortexiphan in her, she might still live. It's weird.
I don't think they honored the character in these moments. No. However, I actually kind of wonder if there are scenes that they cut out because they weren't working. Because Olivia mentioned something like that. Like, the the shot where we touched on it briefly, where it was like, and nothing has changed. I'm still the guinea pig. I'm still being experimented on. Like, and there is a change. You're not alone. Like, I feel like that would have been a prime like scene for her to be like, I could just end it.
Yeah.
And we would be safe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like there might have been
like, I could stop participating and then you have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not part of the equation anymore.
If I'm not part of the equation, he cannot do what he plans to do.
Because in a way, we've had that with Peter, right? Like, Peter had to be erased from history because he didn't make sense. And we haven't, I mean, here, like, I don't think we've had that with Olivia, where she's had to face the choice of the reverse It's a Wonderful Life, where it's just like, I think I have to die, actually.
Yeah,
you may be right. We may never have had that.
It is always Peter, because Peter is our damsel in distress.
Peter is the damsel in distress. I know that there is, like, we kind of got close to it when, she was having a lot of trouble activating her powers.
Right.
And, like, they went all the way down to Jacksonville and they came all the way back up. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. It's just not working. I don't know why this is happening. Like, I can't, I remember everything. I have a photographic memory and I can't remember anything about my life there. And it's like this traumatic thing that I can't remember at all. And she is freaking out about that. But the thing that, like, makes it work is, like, her love for Peter. It isn't a whole thing where it's like, maybe I need to be near death and finally see something.
It's like,
what
Peter,
I mean? Like,
Peter had to sit there with the, I shouldn't exist. And because I shouldn't exist, I am hurting everyone I love. So I need to be taken out of the equation. And Olivia, I feel like it would have been a good bookmark if Olivia also had that moment of, I have been changed and crafted and molded into a tool, but I refuse to be used to destroy two universes. And if I have to take myself out of the equation, then I will, because I cannot cause that. I cannot imagine being the tool to destroy two universes. How dare you? And this is my choice.
I would have loved that.
I would have 100% believed that to be true for that character. Yeah. I don't know why they didn't do that. I don't know. Who knows what they decided in their freaking
I have to think that they were just prioritizing Walter.
Yeah.
Because that's why they brought William Bell back, right? That's why Walter gets this moment at the end. Yeah. And that's why we get Walter, Peter. I mean, and the two actors in that moment did a phenomenal job carrying that scene. Like, it was, quote, I mean, putting the narrative aside, it was very good TV. And they were going for, like, the shock value of the moment, right? But that's, like, I have to think that that's why. They were prioritizing Walter and his storyline versus anyone else around him.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I mean, when you also think about it, that people watch this show once a week as it airs, we're obviously looking at it a little closer than people would have looked at it while they were watching it as it aired on television. It's definitely disappointing, but at the same time, I keep thinking that the creators of the show really wanted to highlight something really specific between those two. And I think they did for the most part, but like, you always want this, like, the dueling scientists, like, on the two sides of the equation. But
we already had it. Like, for me, it's like we already had it. I feel like Olivia really claiming her agency would have been a correction we hadn't quite seen yet, and I think it would have landed better than going back to the same old dueling scientist, a father and a son having a deeply emotional, like, moment. Like, I don't know, like, it felt like more of the same, to the detriment of what Olivia has become and the choices she has made. Because in a way, she's already made a smaller version of that choice. She sacrificed herself for a different life, for her own personal self. Yeah, right? She sacrificed herself for herself. But can she make, but, like, I do believe that she is the kind of character who would then look at the overwhelming totality of like 2 universes versus my life. And not that I would even exist. Like, sure, William Bell is giving me the out of, you'll be the Adam and Eve of a new world.
Gross.
Thanks. Thanks, but no thanks, William Bell. Hard pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone make like choking cat like vomit noises right now at the thought. I don't know, it felt like you were kind of setting up Olivia as having to make those kind of personal hard choices of like, what am I trying to live for? And what can I live with? Like, Walter's been doing it the whole time. He's a scientist. He's made bad choices that he now has to live with. And Olivia is facing down the barrel of a really awful choice that either she will live with, like live in a like in theory in Eden with her Peter, with no one else, but their Peter will be there, or she dies for everyone else. You know, guys get to be the Christ, but like ladies never get to die for everyone else. And it's annoying.
It is annoying. I agree.
Annoying. I think the time and the place when this was written and on air, it just didn't have that kind of nuance, which is unfortunate because by the season 4, you would hope that it has that kind of nuance, you know, that she, and also she flies off the handle so easily. It's amazing that she didn't just do it herself. She is so itchy to use her gun every chance she gets.
Every chance she gets. She was holding one. Peter had one. She could have taken it from him. No, I'm in complete agreement with you. I know why the writers did what they did, and I think that they made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
I think we're up to one more things.
I think
y'all have your one more things ready, or I can go first?
You can go first. I have a couple of options, so.
Okay. I wanted to just, we mentioned her briefly, but the character of Jessica is played by Rebecca Lee Matter, who I think is like amazing. I absolutely adore her on all cylinders. She's just rad and she's amazing. I also really enjoyed one of Walter's actual jokes, which was the at the very end of the last episode where somebody comes down the hall of the hospital with like this tray of urine samples, and he's just like, "Is that yellow? Is that Jello?" And she's like, "No, these are urine samples." "Oh, that's okay. I'm more hungry than thirsty." Just to watch the reaction in her face.
On the subject of Jessica, that scene with her eyes.
Oh, what good CGI that was.
Woo!
Oh,
so good.
So creepy. Yeah.
So creepy.
Well done. That was a good scene. I think my one more thing is a shout out to the real MVP of episode 21, Brave New World Part 1. The woman who looked around and told everyone to stop moving because they're dying because they're moving. Stop moving.
That is a secretary who has seen some stuff.
Yeah.
And she is just like, I know what's happening. Everyone needs to chill.
Truly the MVP. She nailed it in one. Yeah. I don't know how, I don't know when, but she called it and saved, I believe, quite a few lives. So
agreed. Okay, wait, I have one more things, and I'll try to make them quick.
That's fine.
The first is, we cannot not mention that Astrid was shot.
Oh, yeah. Wow. A lot happened in these episodes, but no. And it's so stupid. Astrid is not acting like Astrid when she gets shot.
I can't believe they had her take out an agent and then got her shot in the stomach.
I know.
Trying to save Walter.
I know. Infuriating.
Yes.
Insulting.
But at least they didn't kill her.
I know. I'll take that. It's a cold comfort, but I'll take it.
Cold comfort, they didn't kill her. And my last one more thing is that I do not often disagree with a decision that Broyles makes, but here's a big one. As a thank you for everything the Fringe division has done so far, he is no longer Colonel Broyles, he is General Broyles, and the Fringe division is fully funded, so much so that they can have a full science division and not just Walter and his rinky-dink lab.
God.
And Broyles decides that he would like Nina to be the head of the Fringe Division Science Department.
Boy, I know that relationship is great for you, Broyles, but you don't want to bring in the secrets and lies.
You know, I think this is like when Peter was sleeping with Olivia, and we were like, "Where'd your head go, man? Where did it go?" Like, I'm sure she's amazing in the sack, but like, think 5 seconds in front of your body.
Every time you ask her a question, she lies. She has so many secret files. She has so many secret labs. She kept clones in. She probably still has clones in the basement that Broyles doesn't know about.
You 100% thought that she, wait, is this the Nina that they suspected of having kidnapped Olivia?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This is the Nina you suspected as of kidnapping Olivia.
As of like 2 weeks ago or whatever.
You straight up said to her face, yeah, I do think you would do it, actually.
Yeah. Sex is a hell of a drug.
I mean, obviously. Wow. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I think that about covers it, though. I think that.
And on that note.
On that note, we would love to hear from you. Please check us out at Binge O'Clock Pod on Twitter and Facebook, where you can answer the question, how soon do you think the monsters in William Bell's Eden would die? You can also email us at bingeoclockpod@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have a Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/BachPod.
That's right. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, tell the live lobsters in your life about Binge O'Clock, and we will see you next time.
All right. If it's a primordial soup thing, I give it like instantaneous death. If it's something where in theory it's like kind of okay to survive atmospherically, but they have trouble finding potable water, 3 days tops. So that's my.
I think it's however long it would take for all of those monsters to kill each other.
Oh no, see, I'm like, for me it's even faster than that. I'm just like, because
no,
I think some would
that
scatter.
Would be faster.
Yeah, I think some would scatter, but like unless the atmosphere itself instantaneously kills them as soon as they land.
I think what happens is he's imagining that the two Earths would like crash into each other, like literally crash into each other. And so you have one of those scenarios where like half of Earth is inside half of Earth. And so like they just all fall into a volcano.
Yeah. You know what? I've read that apocalyptic novel where like there was just a giant chasm in the middle of America where an ancient species of humans de-evolved into like unicorns. I wish, and oh, by the way, they were Jewish. I wish I was lying, but like the Radium Age apocalypse is a hell of a drug and it's awful and I do not recommend.
Ooh.
People are
no.
awful. Yeah, no, do not recommend.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. But I'm pretty sure that's what his monsters are about to face.
Yeah.
In this new world.
So like 30 seconds. Less than 30 seconds.
about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But are you ready for season 5?
Are you ready for season 5?
Well, I'm in. Like I'm told you, I'm in. I'm gonna stick through it. You can't get rid of me yet.
Plot twist. Danielle is the
that?
one who leaves.
You know that swear jar isn't gonna fill itself.
This is true.
And on the upside, no aliens.
No aliens.
They're coming, whoever they are. But it's not aliens.
But they're not aliens.
But it's not aliens.